Hi, welcome to the show. This is Joycelyn Linton coming into the Higher Calling, and today's date it's the first day of the sixth month of the year 2017, and the time now is 07:48 a.m. And I get a little nostalgic when we get to the month of June, because though we're still in the beginning of the summer months, it does mean that in the next 12 days' time, we're going to get to the longest day of the year, and then the days will start to shorten. And I get a little bit nostalgic because on this side of the hemisphere, this side of the equator, I quite enjoy the longer evenings, and that it encourages me to do some gardening. Not that I have this year as yet. And it just gives you the extended day that you can get some more tasks done. And if you go up north, like to Liverpool, yeah, it's still light at 10 o'clock. It's still light 10:30. It's still very light. So I'm not sure what it's like in Edinburgh. So and then it's still the sun rises again in the morning at 5 o'clock, 4:30. You can see the day starting to, and it tends to give me more vibrancy. Find the light charges at the batteries in me, and I've got more zest in myself, and I'm much more willing to do more than I would when the days are darkened and shortened. So today now I'm going to continue the story on Hannah and her dilemma. But I just wanted to say, yesterday I had an odd and an even and all the odds. So I said it was a true false, okay? And that's for those who are in the world of basic algorithms. So today I've got here 6, 1, 2017, 7, and 50. So I'm going to see 2 sevens here. It's just flicked over to 5, 1. So I'm going to say it's a false truth today. I'm going to say it's a false truth. Now, to tell you the purpose of why I say these things, it's because something I've noted about myself is I speak in coordination with what's going on up in the skies and with the stars. There seems to be an intuitive skill in me or gifting in me that the timing may not coincide with man's timing, but it definitely coincides with the astronomical arrangements. And I know that because when I flick through the Google or other people's timeline, they will say, spiritual timeline on the Facebook page, they will say something that will make me realize, that's why I said this. That's why I did this. So I know that I have a strict schedule in me in accordance to what's happening in the stars high into the sky. Okay, and it doesn't tie in with man, because if you watch my timing, if I have my own free way, I have a different timing to man. I don't turn up at the time that they want you to turn up. I have another timing that I turn up. But if I have to turn up at the timing, I will turn up at the timing. But I find that I'm strict to what's taking place around the world. On last Friday, I did my morning prayers, and I wanted to pray about what happened in Manchester, the explosion that took place, the person who he's committed suicide and killed a few other, several other people around him, 22 people, and apparently another 54 plus or so were injured. And so I was praying on this on Friday, and then I heard, pray a bit more, don't leave the prayers now. So I prayed a bit more, and then I turned up I was doing some volunteer work with a play school, and the lady told me that because I came at 9 o'clock, and I've been doing it for the past few weeks, that she was quite rude actually. She was very unnecessary and rude. She said that she doesn't need the volunteer help. So, but yet I heard that there was another atrocity in Egypt, and who knows? Had I not listened to the word of the Lord in me, in my prayers, where I heard, pray a bit longer, that atrocity could have been a lot worse. But the Lord had somebody praying. And I can vouch that around the world there is always somebody praying for something. And any atrocity that happens, can I tell you folks, maybe it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for the power of somebody's prayers around the world. I even had a friend on Sunday who said to me that when the Paris explosion took place, that he felt the call in him to go over to Paris. And he wanted to write a poem, but he couldn't write the poem whilst he was at home. So he eventually went down and caught down to Waterloo and took the bus all the way to Paris. He was only going to spend a couple of days, but he ended up spending a week. And when he got there, he was able to write a poem, and he laid it down at the place of the explosion. You see? So the Lord gave him that inertia to go and pray there, pray on the grounds there, you see. And so something was cleansed. Some, evil spirit had to vacate the place, because when the Lord sent his messenger, he sends him, and I'm going to use the word, with an anointing on him. He's carrying the power of God on him. In other words, when he gets there, then the Lord will release such a power through him. He'll be like the vessel of the Lord. And just like the person who went with the explosive released it, then the Lord will now go with his, and he will send his. And as the person arrives at the place in obedience, now the Lord will release a power through him that will cause all demons to flee. The place will be vacated and a cleansing will take place. So it's really good to just trust in the Lord and be obedient in the Lord. And I do recall the time when the Malaysian airplane disappeared, and the Lord told me to go to the airport. So I went to Heathrow Terminal 4, and I just kept, and I remember taking my mum, and I left her in the car, because there's a whole, sparse of hotels there. And I went around looking at the planes and looking up at them and praying, and I could see them coming really close by. And I had my camera too, camcorder, and I was just taking them in, and as they were just kind of landing or taking off. And I spent a few hours. My poor mum sat in the crowd there, and then eventually I brought her into the hotel grounds, and she sat in there too. And I was just plane watching and praying on all the planes. And I went a few evenings, and I mean, the Lord just sends us out to do some off the mark prayers here. And there's a saying that that the Lord will send us to do something that doesn't always make sense. But now I realize that there was some power that the Lord was releasing through me, his vessel at the time, to bring out into the skies. So when the planes go up into the skies, they're in some form of security. Yeah. So for a few days, I was going up to Heathrow Terminal 4 and just plane watching. I spent some time watching the plane land, watching the planes take off, and when you drive along that road there, it's as though the planes are landing, and they're just like a few feet away from the top of the car, so hey, but I was obedient, and I did as what the Lord was saying. But there was a time when there was a boat with children, and the boat sank, and I heard the Lord say, go over to the place there and pray that boat will come back up. Yeah. But I did ring the airlines, the Malaysian airline and the Singapore, and I asked them if they would allow me the flight, that I'm a messenger of the Lord. And I hear the Lord say to go there to pray to get the boat back up, because the children were still in the boat, and they were alive because there was pockets of air that was keeping them alive, you see. And I was writing on my prophetic Facebook blog, Joycelyn Linton, don't touch the boat. Don't go anywhere near the boat. Leave the boat alone, because there is a spiritual protection over the boat, and the children are still alive and they're within air pockets. But alas, they didn't take any notice of what I had to say, and the moment they went and touched the boat, the protection was gone. Because it's not anybody who can go to these incidents when there is evil all around, and then the Lord will send His messengers, His vessels, and He will, I'm going to say, He will anoint them to be able to receive His power, His divine intervention, and therefore there's going to be a clearance of evil spirit. And we see that in the story of Joseph, when in the story of Jesus in St. Mark's 5, where if I just go over to St. Mark's, but I don't really want to read the scriptures here. I want to stay with the story of Hannah. But in the story of St. Mark's 5, if I just can go over to the beginning of it, it talks about St. Mark's 5. It says here, and they came over unto the other side of the sea, unto the country of Gadarene. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately they met him there out of the tomb a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tomb, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man tame him. And always night and day he was in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stone. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice, and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God, that thou torment me not. For he said unto him, Come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. And he asked, What is thy name? And he answered, saying, My name is Legion, for we are many. And he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now there was there nigh unto the mountains a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, Send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave. And the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. There were about 2,000, and were choked in the sea. And they that fed the swine fled, and told it in the city and in the country, and they went out to see what it was that was done. So you see, at this moment in time, Jesus, which we know, was a vessel, because the man spoke about that you are of the Most High God, the Most High God. Yes. So by the presence of the anointing, I'm going to say, and the presence of the Most High God, Jesus became the vessel, because Jesus said that I and the Father are one. I abide by the Father, and nothing have you seen me done that it's not of the Father who's doing it. In that roundabout words. So in other words, in the presence of Jesus, who we knew was the vessel of the Lord, the Most High God, divine power, divine intervention, divine power was released through Jesus. And now all the devils were able to flee, to be scattered, but they asked for a place to go, you see. And so they went into the swine that ran into the sea, and it even scattered those who were looking after, you see. So that's the power of the Lord, when he sends you to a place. But the sad thing here is that I heard the Lord say, go there, but at the time I didn't have the financial resources, and I was in real doubt. And I heard, go to the airport,